The critical geometry on the 26th did not trigger large seismic activity. In fact, it was a really quiet week with only a 5.5 on the 26th, which may have been the only response to the critical geometry. In the previous video, I already mentioned the exceptionally critical geometry on the 30th, that is today. You see a lunar peak here, 20 on the index, which means that there is a lot going on with the moon today. And we see a planetary peak also. And if we look at the solar system, we see Mercury, Venus and Neptune almost in an alignment. The alignment will be exact later today. And what makes this geometry really critical is, again, the moon lining up with Neptune around the same time. A month ago, when the moon also lined up with Neptune, Neptune was also in an alignment with Venus and Mercury. That was reason to issue a major earthquake warning. And this time, there is again reason to issue a major warning because this can be really critical. There's more going on with the moon than just the alignment with Neptune, which is why we see the moon peaking 20 on the index. And it is similar to the geometry that occurred with large earthquakes in the past. For example, the magnitude 8.8 off the coast of Ecuador on January 31st, 1906 had similar geometry. The magnitude 7.8, 1905 on April 1st, also similar geometry, and more recently 2012 April 11th magnitude 8 off the coast of Sumatra, two of them in the morning, also coincided with similar geometry. So we have every reason to be on high alert in the next 3 days. While the critical geometry a few days ago only involved the moon, we now are dealing with this planetary alignment. And another example with exactly the same geometry I showed that a month ago was the magnitude 7.9 in the Gulf of Alaska on January 23rd, 2018. Also when Mercury, Venus and Neptune were in an alignment and the moon lined up with Neptune. And within 3 days we had the big quake. The big question of course is whether or not the current seismic lull is going to continue. Last week was exceptionally quiet. Maybe it's the quiet before the storm. We just don't know. If we look at the last 2 years, we had huge gaps between large earthquakes. In 2017, almost half a year between 7-pointers. That was really exceptional. Last year also a large gap between 7-pointers. If that trend continues, we won't see a big quake until summer. However, the current geometry today is really critical. So we should anticipate a large earthquake in the next 3 days. If it's not going to happen, then the Earth really is in a lull period, so be on watch just in case. We see some activity on the west coast, California in particular, some seismic unrest that we haven't seen there in quite a while, some seismic unrest on the mid-Atlantic ridge, north of the Azores, some larger seismic activity in the eastern Mediterranean, but nothing exceptional. We see the 6.2 in the Indian Ocean, the Carlsberg Ridge, south of Saudi Arabia. Deep seismic activity in the West Pacific, Central Japan, South Japan, Izu Trench. It's been a while since the West Pacific, between Kamchatka and Taiwan, has seen a big quake. Japan in particular. Could be next, but it could also be Asia, China for instance, with the Pacific plate diving under the Eurasia plate. We've seen a lot of deep quakes recently between Japan and the mainland. But the question of course is which area has reached its strain budget. We don't know that. So it's really guesswork where the next large earthquake is going to occur. The South Central Pacific has gone quiet, relatively quiet that is. Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Loyalty Islands. It probably won't take long for the next larger earthquake to strike in this area. New Zealand, I believe, should also be on watch. Later on in the week we also have a lunar peak, 14 on the index, similar to what we had on the 26th. It may result in some seismic increase, but it may also go over 6 or even 7 magnitude in the worst case scenario from May 4th to May 6th. But our focus currently really is on the huge peak that we have today and the planetary peak tonight. So be on watch for large seismic activity, and it can really go bad with this kind of geometry. So the time frame to be on watch is from today, the 30th, to May 3rd. There is the potential for a really big quake, so have a quake plan, be on watch just in case. Until next time.